We often say about a great book, I started reading it and simply couldn't put it down. With Aminah's book, Flickan blev kvar, att finna lugn och lycka efter trauma, or translated into English, The Girl Left Behind, Finding Peace and Joy After Trauma, I had almost the opposite experience. I had to stop reading several times. Not because I wanted to stop reading, quite the opposite. It's now among the best books I have ever read. I stopped because I needed to catch my breath. I needed to stop crying. There are books that teach us something, and then there are books that change the way we look at life. For me, this is one of those books. When Aminah was only 10 years old, her father killed her mother. She was separated from her family, had a father in prison, and was placed in a foster home, where she was later sexually abused by someone close to that family. Most people would understand if that became the defining story of her life, but it didn't. What defines Aminah today is not what happened to her, but what she has done with her life since. She healed, she found peace, she found joy. And today she dedicates her life to helping others find their own strength, as well as being a voice for children who experience trauma. Her book and her life story are ultimately stories of resilience. They are about the triumph of life. As Helen Keller, who despite being both deaf and blind, became one of the most inspiring human beings of the 20th century, once said, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming of it. I have never met anyone who embodies those words more than Aminah. And getting to know her, I found myself thinking differently about the title of her book. While the English translation is The Girl Left Behind, I almost think of it as the girl who is here and now, the girl that is still here. Because despite everything that happened, she somehow preserved something essential from the little girl she was once before that terrible night. Not untouched by life, but still guided by the same kindness, curiosity, and capacity to love. To me, that's the real miracle of her story. I hope this conversation stays with you long after you listen. And if afterwards you feel inspired to read Aminah's remarkable book, I think we will have accomplished something truly worthwhile. Viva vida! Hello, Aminah.
Hello, Hera.
Hello. So happy to have you here today, and very, very special. I read your book, The Girl Left Behind, or The Girl That Remained, Finding Peace and Happiness After the Trauma. And such a strong reading, Aminah. Thank you so much for sharing and your experience and writing such a wonderful book. We generally say that a book, I started and I couldn't stop reading, but I actually had to make several stops because I cried. I need to, get myself together, think, breathe, and then take the next steps and through your life's story, right? And one very interesting thing that I'm thinking is that when I start playing the second half, thinking about myself, I retired, and naturally playing the second half is now retired. But the more and more I see that Playing the second half is things that can happen and you can start tomorrow. Several halves. And in your life and reading your book, you have many, many halves. That I think will be so nice to hear from you, your learnings, how you see upon the future, everything. But why don't you start with that girl, right? That girl that was a happy girl with in a family. A lot of things happen. If we start there.
Thank you so much, Geraldo, and thank you for reading the book. I always get very happy when people do, and also to hear the response from the reader. So some people say, like you, that they have to take it slowly, and they cry a little bit, and they also feel hope. And some people actually just can't stop reading. That's what actually many people say. They can't stop reading, and and they read it all at once. So it's everyone. It's different for everyone, it seems. I wanted to write a book that was very honest about what I experienced as a child, and also what happened to me inside when I went through all of this, and what happened to me as an adult. So I think this will be an interesting conversations about life and traumas and healing and finding happiness again. Yes. So I'm really glad to do that together with you. And so your question was about my life as a child, right?
Yes.
So,
yes, I reading a book. You had beautiful family, right? With happiness, sisters, and one day things changed so dramatically. So describe.
Yeah, we can start with that. So, like you said, I had a beautiful family and a loving mother and father. So I grew up with many beautiful people around me, my relatives, my parents, and I thought life was amazing, actually. And I really enjoyed my life from as early as I can remember. But what happened in my family, and what I feel is important to share, since it's also things like this happen today, children, is that family got problems with the economy, and it led to that my parents started to work a lot, and they were really tired, and that led to them being like arguing a lot. No violence, but it was a really tough situation for them. And I remember it being things changing gradually, like us having less money and my parents arguing more and more. And all of this ends up with that my mother, when I'm 10 years old, like 2 weeks before I turned 10, that my father take her life. So that was when my life shifted completely. And that was the initial trauma, but then it followed with many other traumas after that.
I can read in the book that day you had a discussion with your mother. That made a strong impression on me, because I mean, as a small child, you carried that for a long time.
Yeah, but what happened was that the same day, like before she died, she gave me a gift, which was a pair of trousers. And I didn't like the color. I was happy to have some new clothes, but then I saw that, according to me, I didn't like the color, and I thought that my friends in school didn't have that color. So I think just felt that I have to tell my mother that I'm not happy with the circumstances in our family. So I told her that the trousers were ugly, and that she was a bad mother, and that she was worthless. And she got sad, of course. And usually she always hugged me before going before I went to bed. But this evening I didn't let her do that because I felt like I have to show her that I'm really serious about this. But the same night then I wake up and I see that there is police in the house. And I understand that something has happened, but I went back to my room because I wanted to know what that was. So it was the next day that they told me what had happened.
And then, I mean, you're separated from your siblings, and then you come to a foster home.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. That's what happened. I first came to child care home. I don't know, barnhem in Swedish, where there was a lot of children without parents, so to speak. So
Oh, yes.
I think what's special, or why I want to share this story, is because it has so many strong events happening from one day to another. So one day I'm just an ordinary girl with an ordinary family, and the next day I live in an orphanage.
Yes.
And then I have a father in prison, and I have no mother, and I'm placed in foster care. So things just shifted very dramatically for me, and I just overnight I lost everything, all the safety I knew, my house, my room, my my things, my parents, all of that. And the reason why I chose to name it The Girl Who Was Left Behind is maybe the closest to the Swedish translation, is because I didn't get any help. I got some help, of course, but I always felt that the adults who were supposed to work, their work was to help me. They didn't do that. They didn't dare to ask me how I felt or support me in that. So I was very alone with all my thoughts and emotions around these very complex and complicated events that continued to occur.
In the book, you talk about how adults could put whoa, and I get the impression that maybe they didn't want to hear.
Mm.
And then, and also how you, in that small age, you have to take so many responsibilities, right? I mean, decisions,
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Mm.
It
Can I
was
take
exactly
some
like
of those? Because I mean, you talk about the impact choosing between how to say school being closed, and so in all these going through your mind later on, get into the foster home, right? And the sentiment you had of guilty sometimes for some decisions that you thought you were taking.
Yeah, it was like that. I felt that I suddenly grew older and that I suddenly became very mature. But the fact was still that I was only 10 years old and I was faced with decisions like that, like where do I want to live? And then I said what you referred to, that I want to stay in my school. And I think I said that because it was the only safety I had that remained. Everything else was gone, so I wanted to keep at least my classroom, my teacher, my friends there. But it would have been good for me to know the entire spectrum of what the choices I had, because what happened was that I was separated from my siblings, which came like a burden and a guilt for me to know that I caused it, although it wasn't. I didn't cause it, but that's how I felt around it.
So that part of the book, and I need to control myself not to get emotional again, because I can just imagine this is just one of examples of how you say, well, I want to school, but then your sisters, you get in different families, and there was the opportunity maybe to get with an uncle.
right?
Mm.
And then you blame yourself all the time for this, and so yeah.
Yeah, and I also started to blame myself for my mother's death. I thought it was my fault that she died. I thought that she wanted to die because she wanted to get rid of me, so to speak, because of me fighting with her or arguing with her the evening before. And that made complete sense to me as a 10-year-old. And during the nights, often I dreamt that my mother came back and she was alive, and I was so happy to see her, and I was like, "Oh, mother, you're alive!" And I ran to her in my dreams, and and then she just ignored me and pushed me away. So I started to believe that, okay, she actually wanted to die. It was her wish, so that because I had been angry with her. And it's been interesting while writing the book, and also while processing my life, to see that it's actually what happened, and that's the patterns that I started to believe in, that her death was my fault.
Exactly.
Mm.
And your foster home, I think that was some parts of the book I need to stop several times, because I'm going to be very open now. I mean, you had a hard time, right? And you had sexual harassment, abuse in that foster home. And when you bring that up, they don't hear. And you have this social secretary that also many years later, you see how she handled the whole thing. So all these consequences, right, of you taking care. And if you can tell me a little bit more about that, but also even later on, what I felt your responsibility sometimes even towards your father, right? That I felt very strong that you had that as well. And this dilemma of loving your father, but knowing what he has done, how he changed your life, but also how strong he was in so many other aspects, but also very demanding on your feelings and your being a grown up, which we weren't, right?
Yeah, thank you, Geraldo. I understand that I've had a difficult life, and it's really mirrored when I speak to you who have read the book so sincerely. And so yeah, what happened was that when I met my father the first time after my mother's death, was that he was filled with anxiety, and he was very regretful and completely desperate. So he told me that, first of all, I had to console him and say that it wasn't his fault, and he didn't mean to kill my mother and things like that, because he needed that support. I felt he couldn't take responsibility for his own action and his own emotions. And then he told me that I have to be strong and that I need to take care of our family and that life has to continue. So I give him the promise from the first time we meet again that I will do all of that. But I don't know how to do that. And the reason I know that this is what's being said is, first of all, because I remember it very clearly. I remember this situation where I meet him and he's so filled with anxiety. But I can also read that from the papers, from what the social services have written. But that then he continues to say that I have to be strong and I have to take care of my family and we need to be a family again. So he involves me in his crime, so to speak, and I have to do certain things for him. And since I very early on experienced that I can't trust the adults and they are not able to listen to or hear what I am experiencing, then I just kept everything inside, which later became very, it made me sick as an adult and as a child. And the same with the abuse that you shared about, that I experienced that in the foster home. It was like 5 years of being completely afraid of someone who used to come there a lot. And it was terrible. When I wrote the first draft to my book, I didn't write anything about that, because I didn't want to speak about others, and maybe also because I didn't feel strong enough to write about it. But then when I sat down to actually write the final book, then I decided that I have to share about this as close in detail as I can. So I actually sat here at this place in this sofa, and I really relaxed and went back in my memories and felt and everything that I had felt as a child. And then I wrote it down because I wanted to share what can happen inside when you are when you experience abuse in different ways. So it was the most difficult parts to write, the abuse. It was the parts where I felt mostly ashamed, and still do. I still think it's embarrassing that I wrote what I did, but hopefully it can help others who have experienced similar things to know that others feel like they do and that they are not alone. So that has also been the reason, or the purpose with my book, to support others. And then, as you say, the story is very sad and very strong, and I also wanted to share that it's possible to heal and to process things that you've been through, and find happiness again. So it has been a long journey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think these are your story, and the whole book. It's not, it is about the trauma and what happened, but it's more what you say here. The second part, to find peace and happiness after it, it's about healing. So, and this is so powerful, we're so thankful. I'm thankful for you to share the stories like you did. But before we go into more the healing part, because I think you described very well also these with difficult words in English, with forsoning and forgiving, the difference of all these terms, right? But before doing that, there is a question that reading it and trying to think about this little girl, Aminah, is the how to call anger. Anger for me sometimes I use a lot when I need to handle, let's say, a bad boss. So it's not on the same type of things we're discussing here, but let's say anger has been one thing for me, maybe because I come from Brazil. And I was angry at reading a book with those people, the social secretary, your foster home, the person we described as K, and even, of course, with your father, the way he put you in that position, many times also while understanding the love you have for him and all the good things from your upbringing, right? But anger was never a part of you?
It's such a good question, and it's a feeling that I can feel today regarding other things. But like you said, it's not an emotion that has been with me so much. I get this question sometimes, and it's like I'm unsure of what to answer, because I didn't feel anger. I felt it, of course, a little bit, but not to the depth that I maybe should have. So when you say that you feel angry at my father and those other people, I can't really feel that so strongly. I think that anger has come out in other emotions, like being very tired or being depressed, or
Can it be also like this, Aminah? Because when you're in these situations, many times you're in such a state of shock that you can't process something like anger. It's like you said, it can come a little bit later on.
Yeah.
At least sometimes it works for me. It's difficult even to process what is really happening.
Yeah.
It can take many years.
And I think that the best answer I have so far, maybe I will have another insight later on, but at times I have felt that if I would have allowed the anger at that point and during other parts of my life, I think that would have kind of destroyed me. Because the complexity in what I experienced was so strong. Losing your mother. I loved my mother so much. She was so sweet and kind and the best mother. And then that it was my father who did it. It's like, it's very difficult to understand. And if I would have taken that situation in, I think it would have been too much for a little girl like me. And then maybe I have been just very skillful in not feeling that. I think maybe I'm afraid of anger. As an adult, I try to approach anger or feel it more. But it may be one of the most difficult feelings I have. Because I probably is very strong.
Yes, understanding.
And also me as a person, I've never been really an angry person. So it's not natural for me to be angry. I'm more of like a loving person who like to see the good in situations and in people.
In the book, there is this moment, then this strong girl goes from foster home. Your father was out of prison that he served, and then you're all back living with your father and try to construct your life back again. And after some years, if you can tell me about this period, but also what happens, because this is really one of the many playing the second halves. When this strong girl, you have already left your family, you're living alone with a job and doing, how to say, strong as we mentioned, and then one day you collapse, right? And in many, many ways, I think this is a very strong second half for you that leads to the healing, the finding, how to say, peace. And another thing is I want so much to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Geraldo. Yeah, it's like to say, because what happened was that as I got older and I started my own life and education and work, I also started to feel very, very tired. And I think it was just, it wasn't possible any longer to keep away the feelings, because I started to feel them, everything that I had put down inside me, so to speak, or locked somewhere deep inside. So I got very tired, and then one late evening, my friend, I'm visiting her, and I'm just crying and crying, and then she and her partner, they take me to the hospital because I'm just so sad. And then the doctor there, he asked me like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I just said to him that I'm so tired. My father murdered my mother when I was 10, and I'm so tired that I can't lift my arms. And I remember looking down at my arms and saying, I can't move them. And then he understood how serious it was. So he asked me if I wanted to stay the night there, and I just said yes immediately. And then then I stayed there for quite a long time. Actually, I was sad, and I needed to rest. And so the hospital, my hospital room, was the place for that to happen, and for me to start my healing journey. Although I was so fragile, and it was just in the beginning of that. I remember I had a person there who I spoke with, and she did something that no one else had did before, because she was completely open to listen to what I had experienced and what I wanted to share. So I said that to her. It's like you're in concrete, because whatever I say, it's like you're not flinching at all.
Right.
And then she said, "But you can share whatever you want, Aminah." And that was one of the shifts, that I could see that someone can actually listen, someone can carry my story, and then I can do it too.
Right.
But it was just in the beginning, and then I started, like you said, the second half started to approach or get closer to my story and my experiences.
How old are you, Aminah?
I was in my 20s, so the later 20s. And then, so I started in therapy. I had medications and things like that. I wasn't feeling well, but it supported me somehow to have a support network around me. I have taken my healing journey have been in steps, like you said, many second halves, where I gradually been able to just take it step by step to heal. I couldn't start immediately with feeling my emotions. I had to first understand it mentally, and then, just face the emotions that came with it as well, including anger. Mm.
Tell me more about this, because this is, I think you had, like, from mentors to people that finally start listening to you,
Mm.
right? All the help that you should have had as a child.
Mm. Mm.
And that leads to what's your passion today? I mean, help others, right?
Mm.
Wrote the book. And so tell me everything about this. So this second half, all the I understand you actually wrote about in the book that you went to somewhere about screaming, maybe anger, right? But it didn't work for you, right? Even if momentarily it was. You try out many different things. So if you can name maybe some of the main things that you learn from this phase that brings to the Aminah of today.
It's a good question, and something I really like to talk about, because what I want to share also with my stories, the insights that I feel was important for me and hopefully for others as well, because what happened after that I've been to the hospital was that I continue working and things like that, but then it came to a point, like my doctor, she always said, like, can you please just take, you say, sick leave or something, like at least half of your time, so you need to rest. And I was like proud. I wanted to be strong and have a normal life, so I said, no, I don't. I want to work. But then it's like the feelings and the tiredness was so strong, so I collapsed again, and then I stayed at home for many years, where I was just tired and sad, and I went to different kind of psychology, like therapists, and talked about my past and all of that, and it was helpful during those years to just clarify things. And I also talked to friends and family about my family and things that had happened, so it was good to speak about it. But then I I read a book, like a self-development book or personal development book. And then I realized that I don't need to dig so much into the past or my childhood, and that I can actually change my life from today and forward. And I think that insight was very important for me to see that I actually have the power to change my life. So I actually stopped. I was doing psychoanalysis 4 times a week at that time, and I stopped that. And my psychiatrist, he was like, "Oh, are you sure?" And I was like, "I'm very sure." And then I stopped it, and then I started to like try other therapies. Like it became well, I did things like you said, feeling the feelings and speaking more about how I felt, and then I also started to feel how tired I am in my body and how much pain I have. So I did like got a lot of massage and acupuncture and stuff like that, and then started to explore the feelings and the pain with different kinds of therapists, which was so helpful. And there are so many amazing people out there who are willing and able to support and to listen. So I really looked at my life from many different angles. Like one thing that I did was also to do like some sessions where I just in meditation, I met little Aminah and talked to her and understood her, how life had been for her. And that was important to just see my life, how it's actually been as a child, and to meet myself as a child. So I did different therapies like that. I think that since I had locked everything down, I was really at the beginning very closed off. I had no contact with my emotions or my body. I was just numb. And then when I lift up the lid, everything started to come up, but in gradual ways. And I really wanted to listen. I understood that this is like looking inwards is the way to be free. But it was really painful at times. But I always thought that like when it felt like the worst, and I was really sad. I've been so sad in my life, and so just not happy with how life turned out. And I've been feeling a lot of jealousy to others who have their parents or who have successful life, and I don't. But I just felt that someday I will show everyone that it's possible to find happiness again and to break free from the past, so to speak. So that was my goal, to be able to have this conversation with you today and share that it's possible to actually change one's life and start. For me, it was with starting the inner journey, like the inner healing process.
As read in the book, you see this journey and how sometimes you almost felt like giving up. And then, but how resilient you have been and the decisions that you took. I mean, stopping with this psychologist that really didn't like that decision, right? You could feel.
No, I didn't.
And then, but even medicine, right? Because you felt that medicine, you didn't want. You want to be in control of yourself and so on. So you very tough decisions you made, right? And I understand that some people have been important, like a mentor. There was some people that you could talk more openly, and that leads maybe to the Aminah of today, right? And can you tell more about that and your hopes and how you are helping others now? And I mean, you mentioned that a book that you read about health. right? You mentioned something about that. I think very few books are written by people that actually been there, right?
Mm.
So experience the trauma and the difficulties and raised up and found peace and happiness again.
Mm.
So tell more about that and what this journey then of healing.
Mm. Mm.
Well,
Yeah, mm. For me, since I had a really wonderful childhood, and I remember how I felt that life was magical and that the people in the world were just amazing. That's a memory that I kept. Like, it stayed with me, although everything became very dark inside and outside as well. So it's for me, when I was taking these medications and having my doctor and all of that, which was helpful, I also felt that this cannot be the ultimate solution to my well-being. It can't be in some little pills that I take each day. There must be some natural well-being inside, because I had felt it when I was young, and I lost it, and then I just wanted to come back to that. And what was helpful for me then was to realize that well-being is inside me. It didn't go anywhere. I just forgot to see it for a while because I was so overwhelmed with anxiety and sadness and depression and anger and all of that. So then when I realized that, that okay, it's here, my inner peace is here, my inner stability is here, then I decided to just take a year to just to settle in that. And I had a mentor who supported me beautifully, and that journey became like very restful. I started to be very kind with myself. I made gentle decisions. I started to think like, when I had some choices, it was like, what is most kind to me in this moment? And that was a completely new approach for me to meet myself, because I had always been very harsh on myself. I blamed myself. I hated myself, things like that. But now I started to more rest in self-love and also through meditation in different kinds of ways, just see that I have this peace inside, and to just acknowledge that. So when I felt depressed or sad or tired or pain or whatever it was, I still have all of those feelings a lot. Like I have a lot of pain in my body. I'm very tired. I still feel like giving up many times. But now I more know what to do with all of those sensations and thoughts, and to more anchor myself within this inner peace that we all have. So it's some people talk about mindset and mind shifting, and that's what I did, like more focusing on my strength and the positive things as well. So I also started to cultivate gratitude for myself, for others. I had,
because this leads to a question I have. I think a moment in the book that it's among the many that's so strong is when in this journey you had learned about the importance to forgive.
Mm.
And then you meet the king, as you call him, in a family gathering with the foster home, and you really try hard to forgive, just to learn later that, no, what I'm doing, I'm trying consciously, mentally, and so. But maybe what you're saying, and I understand even more now, that maybe the forgiveness, of course, should be there, but the forgiveness towards yourself, towards being kind with yourself, which maybe you always had difficulty because of this, how say, duktig guilt that your father and you have to be strong and so. Do I read it right? Because that was a journey you did with the concept of forgiveness, which maybe is really important part of healing, but it's not always so. Maybe it starts with you. If you can tell me a little bit more what you learned there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was something that I realized while writing the book, what you share here about forgiveness. Because I did so many things because I wanted to heal, and I've been to many like different workshops and stuff around forgiveness or anger management or whatever. So it's many things. And one of I remember reading many books about forgiveness, and I really tried hard to forgive, because they say that freedom is by forgiving. It's like if you forgive someone. But when I looked at it now, when I read the book, it was like, this is not how my journey was. I tried to, like you said, I tried to forgive, but it wasn't true. Because what happens, and what you refer to, is when I try to forgive this man who abused me, and my mentor, she tells me that I don't have to forgive. And I didn't have to forgive him. And for me, it was like, what? And it was, I remember my life just almost turned upside down hearing those words from her. And I just felt such a relief, like a big burden falling off my shoulders, that I didn't need to work on forgiving him or anyone else. I didn't need to. It isn't my job to forgive. And that was so good for me to understand. And all of these things that we are talking about now are still things that I'm working with. Like, it's not like I'm always realize this 100%. But so when I wrote the book, I looked at my journey. How did that look like? And it was I call it in Swedish att förstå, försonas och kanske förlåta. So in English it would be to understand, reconciliate, we say, and maybe forgive. And that my journey was like that I needed to understand what happened. Why did things happen the way they did? Why did people do the way they did? How did I feel about those things? And just looked at my life, like I said, from different perspective, just to understand things. Like you said before, I gave myself the help I should have been given when I was a child. And then when I understood, I could just come to terms with things that had happened in my life. I could feel that I could find reconciliation in that it happened. Life was as it was. And for me, that was is the ultimate relief, to just see that it's what happened, and I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm here. My past is not here anymore. And within me, I have found this peace or calm or whatever you want to call it. But then with that, when you have that stability or in yourself, then it also gives you the freedom to choose not to forgive, or forgive if you like. And because you're already free, you have you have healed your past in a way. So I have forgiven myself for many things, and other people, and some people I didn't forgive. And I feel that that's also important to say, that we don't need to.
Yes.
Some people are just, or some experiences and things that have happened are just too strong. So you don't need to forgive. You have the right to choose not to forgive. And that will then also feel very powerful to know that. At least it's like that for me.
That was such a strong learning for me, life. And I think for anybody listening, what you said, the understanding then, the reconciliation, and maybe forgive. Because reading the book, some people still didn't reconciliate with themselves. And so there is no chance because they would do the same thing even today in some way. So there is nothing to forgive, but maybe always forgive yourself. I think this was very because always we have learned this so beautiful forgive, but I think that maybe it's a really important word here.
Yeah, for me it was a good thing to understand, and it's the way I see it. It's not to say that it's true or how it is, but it helped me a lot.
Yes.
Mm.
Tell me everything now, about what you do today. I mean, I understand you're a speaker. I see in many places where today is speaking to large audiences, people working with trauma, different organizations, and so. Is it also companies sometimes, or tell me everything what you do and how your book and the things. What is your, how to say, hopes and passions for the future?
It's so good to have this conversation with you, Geraldo.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Likewise.
Good. Well, it took quite a long time for me to write the book, and I released it in November last year. So it's going well. I'm not a famous person or so I'm glad to know that the first batch, do you say, is already sold out, and we are now on the second one. So that's it's really amazing, and I got beautiful response on it. I got like one review was 4 out of 5, and it's beautiful to just see how it's received now. Some people write to me every now and then and thank me for helping them. So I'm glad that it has the impact that I wished for. I wanted to show the difficult parts of life, and like you, it's been so beautiful to speak here with you, Geraldo, about like daring to touch upon strong things and with that help others. So it feels so safe to do that together with you. But I also wanted to show the strength that we have, that actually never leaves us. We might forget it or we might not feel it, but I think we are all equipped with that. And to share about that, and also to speak about how important people are to each other. Like when my mother died, people around us, they said like, oh, she was so beautiful, she was so amazing, she was a beautiful mother, how could this happen? And people were of course very angry and sad. And I remember as a child then thinking like, why didn't they tell her that when she was alive? It would have been so nice for her to hear how appreciated and loved she was. Of course, she knew, but, just people saying that a lot. So then I decided that I want to say that to others. I want to really appreciate others and want them to know that I appreciate them. So that's also something I want to show in the book. The beautiful things in life, how we can feel gratitude for the things we have and maybe don't have. So that's what I speak about today. I give talks about how to support children who have experienced different traumas and are.
Do children today get better help, or is it the same?
There is, of course, a greater awareness. What happened to me was 40 years ago. So at that point, at that time, people didn't know what to do. And I think they didn't have the education in that sense to meet such a difficult and complex trauma or event. So it's better now. People know more, but there's still a lot of work to do. We talk a lot about having the children first in mind and doing what's best for children, but several reports show that that is not the case. So we can always be better on daring to listen to children and daring to ask how they're feeling, and also be open to what they say, and also to protect them. So I speak about that. I share my experience, and I share what I would have needed at that time. And I have beautiful workshops with people who work with children, and they say that they get more hope and they feel like more important, and they know how to handle their cases and how to meet children. So that brings me so much joy to see that. So I do that, and I'm also starting now to have more inspirational talks about the things we've talked about, like how to build yourself an inner peace and stability, and just how to feel safe within yourself. For me, I looked so much at things outside me to be, to have a boyfriend, to have money, or to have a work, things outside me to have a stable or good life. But ultimately I found it inside, which many people say that they, to start the inner journey. And then you can enjoy everything that you have around yourself, of course. So I love to speak about those things, and that it's possible to heal, and give my tools and experiences on that. I have also worked with that a lot before, like mental and emotional stability, and in groups and workshops. So I'm an experienced workshop leader as well, and I love to do it so much.
It's so important. Thinking of the good reception of the book, because I've seen, I've been at TV and also on newspapers, and it's so I didn't know it's already sold out after so short time. Any plans to translate to other languages?
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't have any plans of that, so I hope that will just unfold naturally when the time is right. Many are asking about it in English and in different languages, so I hope that will happen.
Aminah, that is so good to see you in these the stories about happiness at the end. I'm seeing more and more, and seeing you with this beautiful smile. There is a question that I ask everybody in this summer series, as you know, and you know some of them that we are meeting, right? And it's something that I'm very, how to say, much of my focus. Maybe I'm getting nostalgic, getting old and retired, but it's time, right? Because time is this thing that's so precious. And so, actually, two questions then. One, how is a perfect day for you in terms of how you use your time today, right? A perfect, a really good day for you. But then also connected to that, now that we start in the summer, and actually, when we're publishing this, you're already middle in the summer, right? So if there is 10 years from now, a message in the bottle, right? How was that summer? And how that maybe is one more health for some renewal. And so how would that message look like? So it's a number of questions.
I'll try to answer both of them. But first, I just want to say, Geraldo, thank you so much for hosting these talks. It's so lovely to speak with you. And the way you do it is so humble and kind and open. And so thank you for reading my book. And it really warms my heart. And so I know that you're also interviewing other interesting and wise people. So I look forward to listening to those interviews as well. So I just want to thank you, first of all. But secondly, a perfect day for me. I think since I'm living with like I have a lot of pain in my body, and I'm also often very tired. So uh, then I would just have a day with less pain and tiredness is good for me. But then I really love to be with my family, my partner, and my other greater family. I love people, and I love the people I have in my life. So this weekend I actually had I had a celebration of when I turned 50. I turned 50 this autumn.
Well, congratulations.
The past autumn. So it's like a half year ago, but I was so sick back then, so I couldn't have celebrate it. So we celebrated it this Saturday, and it was so sweet. I just felt, because when I turned 50, I looked back at my life, like first half. And I could just see that it's been so many people along the line of like the years that I loved, and they have supported me, and we have so much fun together. And I just wanted to see them all. And of course, it's not possible to see them all, but I invited them to come to an open house. And it was so touching. I was so happy when people I didn't know would come, when they just suddenly showed up. And although it was a lot of people, I didn't have time to speak with everyone as much as I wanted. I just loved taking some time to just thank them for being in my life, and for everything that we've shared, both ups and downs. And it's so clear to me that they all, in some different ways, supported me to be here where I am today. So maybe that was a perfect day.
Yes. Well.
That was a perfect day to just summarize my life by gathering everyone I love, and not everyone, but many, many.
Yes.
And the other question was 10 years from now. I hope I will have a summer without pain and tiredness. But still, it happens. So I've learned also how to live with that. But it's on my wish list to have less pain. But just a beautiful summer with nice, warm weather. And we haven't decided yet what we will do this summer, but we're planning to do some just excursions to beautiful places in Sweden, maybe abroad. My partner is a wonderful, wonderful man who loves to explore life and travel to different places.
Invitation if you pass by Skåne, okay?
That would be wonderful. Yeah, we love Skåne.
Yeah,
and
you're welcome.
No, it looks so beautiful there where you live.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and you hear the birds.
I hear it, and I even hear like the sound in the leaves. So it's beautiful. Yeah,
so you both are very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we would love to come. I'm sure he would love it too. So, yeah, just a beautiful summer, and then that I have lots of things to do in the autumn, where I can give talks and do fun things with my work. That would be wonderful.
Very good. Wish you a great summer ahead. And also after the summer, because everything ends, right? The great fall. Aminah, thanks so much for this conversation today.
Yeah.
And
thank you so much.
And your book, amazing.
Thank you again for reading it, and thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it, and I also enjoy your beautiful background there with nature behind. It's really, really sweet. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.